Hello, this is Nick Tate. Dear friends, we've all lost a very special person in the passing of dear Phyllis Proctor. I can honestly say she's been my friend for over 40 years, always ready with a big smile and loving embrace. True friendship without demands of any kind. Never, ever a harsh word to say about another living soul, or straying from mutual appreciation of each other's love of so many shared familiar memories. I can truly say that some of the happiest, warmest memories of genuine enjoyment of things outside my own personal family life come from the creation that both Phil and her good pal Eileen Skidmore made when they created the fan club that they jointly ran for me. For over 40 years, with unfailing enthusiasm and belief that there were many equally enthusiastic people out there that shared similar passions and dreams, who wanted and needed a gathering place to speak to each other about their shared love of Alan Carter, a fictional character in a sci-fi TV series called Space 1999. Oddly enough, neither Phil or Eileen were typical fans of sci-fi. In fact, both had very classical tastes and indeed were wonderful history buffs. Dare I say English history experts. Forgive me if I mention Phil and Eileen together constantly, because in all the 40 years that I knew Phil, I never met her without Eileen at her side. They were inseparable, the best of friends. I was living in England when we met for the first time in 1976. During the making of the second series of Space 1999. Another gal had initiated the club, and both Phil and Eileen became early members. However, they soon took over the running of the club in 1977. Together they helped to bring in new members from all over the world, and before long, there were over 1,000 members, which became a very daunting task, having to keep tabs on so many members and coordinate and put together stories and news items surrounding either Space 1999 or other parts of my career working as an actor in London. This would mean both Phil and Eileen travelling down from Birmingham on the train to London and meeting up with me for the day, which they did on many occasions. Also, work took me to Birmingham on several occasions, and so I visited them in their lovely terrace house. Over the course of the next 40 years, we have become great friends. There have been several Space 1999 conventions that I've attended where we've also had the opportunity to get together for longer periods. 3 or 4 days staying in large convention hotels. Always the first people I ever wanted to see were Phil and Eileen, and I always received good cuddles from both girls. We became very good mates. I almost felt the kind of familiar love that you might have enjoyed with your favorite aunties. We ate many meals together. We shared lots of stories and laughs on those occasions. However, I'm so pleased that we had the best experience at the Peterborough Convention. It's hard to explain just why those 4 days together were so very special to us all, but several things happened. Firstly, as I already mentioned, they were astoundingly knowledgeable about English history, and so both bounced off each other, filling my head with the history of so many kings and queens of England, and the battles and the fortunes, both good and bad, and how Peterborough Cathedral was so much part of that history. However, Phil also had a big surprise for me. She knew that my mother's maiden name was Neva Carr Glynn, and that her father, my grandfather, died when she was only 8. He had a brother who became a bishop. So with great pride, Phil and Eileen walked me over to a plaque on the wall of Peterborough Cathedral and showed me that my great-uncle had been Bishop of Peterborough Cathedral from 1896 to 1917, Edward Carr Glynn. Well, I flew back to Los Angeles that night with a far greater appreciation of my dear friends, Phyllis Proctor and Eileen Skidmore. It was such a gift to have spent those 4 days with these smart, loving, caring girls. I had no idea that it would be the last time that I would ever see either of them. Within a month, Eileen died quite suddenly. This was devastating to all of us, but especially to Phil, her closest friend in the world. These last few years have been very awkward for dear Phil, sad and difficult because Phil had a lifelong physical disability. She had only limited mobility in one arm and almost none in the other. Raising anything above her shoulder height was almost impossible. Eileen had always helped her, and now she was gone. I've since spoken with Phil by phone on several occasions, and I thank God for the friends that came to help her from time to time. She didn't complain, not at least to me. Phil was never a complainer. She was smart and caring and thought more about the well-being of others than she ever did about herself. She was worried that the club would not survive without Eileen, since Eileen had all the Nick Tate Club on her computer, and Phil found it very hard to type with her condition. So I had my friend Todd Morton contact Phil and offer to help. He runs a huge sci-fi club here in the USA. They have a section now that is embracing my career and Phil and Eileen's work with me. Phil seemed very relieved that someone would carry on her work. So that brings us to today. I didn't know that Phil was in hospital, but as soon as I heard, I called, and the nurse put Phil on the phone to me. I'm so grateful that we had those last few moments together, because Phyllis passed that night. We none of us can tell when our time is up, and as life's journey would have it, the closer we get to the end of that journey, we seem to find more and more friends checking out. For myself, I'm 76, I don't find this a terrifying experience because I have a loving family. I've had a great life. Funny, they say life is like a game. It doesn't really matter who wins or loses. In the end, what counts is how well we played the game. Yeah, I guess life is like that, and Phil was always a good player. She and her dear friend Eileen helped to make me a better player, and I am richer for having known them both. I can only hope and pray that soon we will all be together once again, knowing we tried always to make this a better place. I thank God for having given me a friend like Phil, and I trust she is happily looking down on us now, holding the hand of her best friend Eileen. We miss you, Phil, but we are grateful to have also called you our friend, Phyllis Proctor. Goodbye for now.